Hi everyone, this is a super exciting video because after enrolling about 4,000 students in our online course, I noticed the 4 problems that are stopping these artists from becoming perfect, amazing nanobrow artists that they want to be. So we all know that there's a huge shift going on in the industry. No matter what technique they're using, whether it's lips, eyeliner, microblading or machine hair strokes, whatever it is that is happening in the industry, everybody wants to get better at using their machine. And because of that, machine hair strokes have become so popular. But after checking so many assignments, enrolling so many people, seeing so many students, I pinned it down to 4 problems that everybody seems to have that are stopping them from becoming amazing nanobrow artists. At the end of the video, I gave you a simple action plan that you can take today that will help you become the person you want to be for your clients. The first problem that I feel a lot of people have entering the nanobrow industry is the prior muscle memory and the memorization of the microblading strokes. When we do microblading, and I'm going to demonstrate in this video, we're doing stroke, stroke, there's no overlapping, there's a transition, and it goes back down, and it ends up with a basic structure looking like this, goes back down. So with a simple microblading pattern, I would say that you have the stroke technique that sometimes looks like this. For the nanobrows, what's going to happen is that there are little branches that are going to be happening, and there are definitely crossovers, there's shading, it's a whole different technique. And if you're coming from a microblading perspective and you're jumping into nanobrows, a lot of the stuff that a nanobrow artist, like crossing strokes, shading, filling, all this stuff, it just might look wrong to you. And it might be confusing, and you might have ideas of what you can and can't do. And because with nanobrows there's a lot more freedom, it might seem that we're just breaking all the rules that you're used to having, and it could just feel very wrong. The prior muscle memory that microbladers have has nothing to do with the way you create nanobrows. You can cross stroke. You can use different needles. You don't have to do just 2 passes. You don't have to smear pigment over the brow. So you have to throw all that prior knowledge sort of to the side. And obviously skin experience helps, but it's not going to be enough to just submit work that isn't branching. The stroke method is the #1 deterrent that I get in my submissions, and it's the main reason why people aren't really doing really amazing branching. Whatever it is that you're doing with microblading, you can't translate that into machine hair strokes because it won't look good with a machine, period. The second most deterring problem that can really just stop a permanent makeup artist or an artist from pursuing learning machine hair strokes is the instant gratification mentality. And what I mean by that is that when I see people jumping into machine hair strokes, they are looking to perform practice, and what basically a lot of permanent makeup artists do, or a lot of artists coming into the industry, is they'll buy a latex that looks like this and instantly jump in and try to create brows that are shareable either on the silicone pad or on their clients, because they're looking for the brow result. They skip the entire thing. They have an instant gratification mentality. They want to get paid the big bucks. They want to do the perfect eyebrows, but they don't want to sit there and practice for hours. They don't want to sit there and do the homework that no one sees. They want the shareability. They want the conversation. They want the experience. They want the social aspect of things, which is all fun and great, but sometimes improving in your career is not going to be so fun. It's simply sitting alone on a desk and doing the fundamental work. So that's the second thing that I see that stops people from, being the artist that they want to be, is the instant gratification seeking. And that could be in different forms. It could manifest in different ways. And some of the ways is looking to just jump right into brows, submitting assignments that are basically your first attempt at brows, not putting in the hours, buying skill. A lot of people think that they can spend $5,000 on a workshop and they're gonna just instantly have the skill. So a lot of that could be due to like the instant gratification mentality, and that could really stand in your own way. It would literally be like you throwing a huge boulder in your own career path. It's shocking to me because we're putting out courses that are super affordable. We're putting out these amazing tools and latexes that are resources for people, and we're just super surprised that most people actually will choose to do something that they'll get instant gratification for, and it'll hinder them from actually pursuing their real goal. And then they'll give up and give excuses like, oh, I didn't have the time, or oh, my kids, or all this and that. We've seen it all, and these are the things we're seeing over and over again. And so I'm happy to present this to you, even though it's kind of like nobody wants to hear about their problems, and the truth is always ugly. But the more likely we are to confront these 4 deterrent reoccurring problems, the more likely we're going to tackle these problems together, and we're going to grow as an entire industry. The third thing that stops 90% of artists entering the nano brow machine hair stroke field is the lack of training tools. Ombre brows are super popular. Microblading, super popular. Machine hair strokes are just kind of coming into the highlight. They took the backseat for the longest time in the industry. While the industry was developing with new machines, new blades, new skins, hair strokes was in the backseat. So the production of tools was geared towards the more popular methods, like ombre brows, like combo brows, like microblading. So as a machine hair stroke artist coming in 2022 with this trend growing faster than the production of tools for this trend, what's going to happen is that there's an insufficient supply to fill the growth of machine hair strokes. What ends up happening is basically the person looking to learn nano brows are not finding the resources to go online, buy tools to practice that are specifically geared towards machine hair strokes. Okay, let's say they're willing to put in the work. Let's say they're gonna put the microblading prior education on the side. What's gonna happen is that they might just not find guides. They might not find affordable workshops, affordable courses, affordable tools. You know, and I've seen this happen a lot in the industry too, where it's like I've seen workshops that are like lips, brows, eyeliner, and machine hair strokes all in one workshop, and it doesn't work like that. Nano brows is such a specific technique that you're gonna have to spend 5 days just learning that. And I really respect the nano brow artists that I see on the internet. I'll name drop a few, like Lauren Taylor, Natalie Yermako, Maya Moore. Those girls are doing their due diligence with really giving nano brows the attention that it needs, because it's such a difficult method to learn. So I'm not the only person here, you know, teaching this method. There's plenty amount of trainers that are teaching this method, but I hate when it gets bundled up with other methods, because it is such an intense technique on its own that it literally, I don't believe it can be bundled up or thrown as an accessory, or like, you know, the term nano just being thrown in there because it's a new buzzword. So there is sort of a lack of integrity too in providing the students with the tools that they need. 2 things are your problem, and then 1 thing is the industry's problem. It just hasn't caught up yet. So you can take responsibility for the first two problems, but I don't think that the third problem really is your problem, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to get in your way. So the 4th problem is sort of like the instant gratification mentality, but it's the approach. So 90% of people, I feel like, have the wrong approach when they're approaching machine hair strokes. Because of the way we present it as a technique in the industry, we're like, it's a superior method, no trauma, no bleeding, this and that. You're extremely likely to want to perform this for your clients. You're like, these girls are doing the best thing for their clients brows, they're getting these gorgeous results. Inevitably, you're going to want to offer that for your clients. But here's the thing. 90% of people haven't even been in the industry for like a year. And I've been in the industry for 10 years. Them jumping in and offering nano brows 6 months in or a year in, they're not gonna see the same amount of precision or same amount of interest from the clients to their work, because simple brow shaping, simple tweezing, simple threading, you know, simple consultations, those are gonna lead you up to offering this insane, most permanent, most difficult technique in the industry. So the approach is a problem, the lack of training tools is a problem, the instant gratification is a problem, And the prior muscle memory, I've noticed, is a big problem. So I could sit here all day and tell you about problems, but it won't do us any good if we don't discuss solutions. So the second problem we talked about was the instant gratification mentality and not putting in the work prior to finally creating the perfect brows on silicone on your client, whatever it is. So I'm going to be showing you right here these practice tools that you can use. These are straight lines, because when you're tattooing, you're gonna have to do straight lines. You can test different needles on here. You can practice your magnums, your round shaders, your round liners, your 3-liners, your 1-liners, and see exactly what every needle does, you know? And the whole point of these sheets is not to finish all the rows. You know, I've seen some people actually purchase these sheets and go and like kind of try to get it done. It's not something that you try to get done. It's something that is supposed to help you with your understanding. So if you finish the whole sheet and you didn't understand more about your machine, about your techniques, about what's doing what, and the whole point of these sheets is just out of the window, right? And the reason why we created this little circle here, and I'll show you this in a different video, is because there's a main focal point and then you have these round swirls. So what you could practice is your strokes going this way. You can practice shading in different directions. And I love these right here because you're gonna practice getting your strokes to meet, you know, neatly without having them cross over or blur or whatever. I like these down here because the strokes are super kind of close together and you have to try to be able to create those neatly. Also, of course, I put in some basic shapes. Squares are nice because there's like edges right here. So if you have an edge, sometimes it's hard. If your fundamentals are off, you know, your line might kind of go up a little bit more than it should, and it might cross more than it should. So these squares are kind of challenging. Same thing with the triangles and the circles. I like these mainly because you can kind of go this way and practice line curves. A lot of times we get submissions that are super stiff and the lines are very rigid. So practicing your fluidity with the machine and your hand flow with these exercise sheets is ultimately just gonna make your final result when you jump into an empty brow, it's gonna make it look 1,000 times better. So as we spoke about before, the third problem that's stopping 90% of artists that are pursuing a nano brow goal of becoming better machine hair stroke artists, that there weren't enough tools in the industry before to help them, you know, practice their nano machine hair strokes. We spoke about that. The industry was creating pads, practice courses, tools that are specifically geared to the most popular methods before, which were microblading and ombre brows, combo brows, powder brows. So that was an excuse, and that was a valid excuse, right? You know, I don't have the proper guide, everything's too expensive. The EMA machines were literally like $4,000, and to practice nano brows before, I would say like 5 years ago, was a $10,000 bill. Right? So that was an excuse. If you told me that you couldn't pursue it because you couldn't afford pursuing it, you couldn't afford the machines, you couldn't afford the trainings for nano brows 5 years ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, you know what? I get it. That stopped me before. I get it. You don't have that excuse anymore. This guide is literally $29. You can get the downloadable printable worksheets. You can get 3 of these nano brow branching, specifically focused on branching, not strokes, patterns. There's different brow shapes on the on this. It's not all just like brow, 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 brow. And the skin literally feels the closest to skin. It's not low quality latex. It's made out of silicone. So having the tools in the industry and the lack of, you know, having the tools in the industry used to be an excuse. Now you have the pads, you have the guide, you have our online course that's a little bit over $300. You have the workshop. You have so many tools. You have this video, it's free. You have so many free tools. The only excuse that you can use right now is I didn't put in the time. So right now I'm gonna show you the nano brow guide that we created that's gonna help artists sort of let go of the microblading strokes and try to create nano brow branches, okay? So the biggest problem is that microblading artists are stuck on creating strokes, and it's such a blockage in their way. So once you purchase these nano brow skins, they come in a pack of 3 in 2 different colors. You're gonna also have a guide that is attached. So you're gonna print this out. In the guide, there's a video that's going to show you how to start tracing these branches. You have the classic pattern, the upward pattern, the downward pattern, and the double spine pattern. And it's going to show you which faces you can use these patterns on and how to make these patterns your own. These are just simple patterns. They're blown up, so they're big, so you can see all the details. And it's gonna guide you on how to fill these out in different colored pencils, so you know the primary stroke, the secondary stroke, and the accessory stroke that comes at last. So you're gonna start by tracing these to practice your muscle memory. And tracing these is really gonna help you out because it's gonna show you where all the lines are meeting, the different focal points, the different patterns. So just sit home and trace like 5 of these sheets, right? Once you're done tracing them and you have the muscle memory locked in your hands, in your hand-eye coordination, in your understanding, what you could do is print out the second part, which is the empty patterns. And I was scribbling on here earlier, but you can test your muscle memory. And there's different shapes on here because I noticed that with guides that look like this or like this, it typically is the same shape over and over again. It's like same shape, same shape, same shape, same shape. So you end up practicing the same shape and you're always confined to the same shape. And so you end up practicing cookie cutter type eyebrows. So these are all different shapes because every client is gonna get a different shape. And you can say, okay, well, right now I'm going to practice the downward pattern. And you're going to create your spine, just like the course tells you to. And you're going to start practicing from your own muscle memory that you've been training yourself to have. You're going to practice your downward branching, right? And you're going to test your skills and you're going to see, okay, well, this is what I'm doing right. This is where I'm struggling. This is what's going on. And then you can say, okay, well, I'm going to move on and practice another pattern and see which pattern is your favorite. Which pattern do you like to create? You know? And if you can't do it with a pencil, you're not going to be able to tattoo it. So what we have for you is, this is not the second step. So this is the part where these sheets come in, right? You have 2 colors to choose from. I recommend practicing on both colors. And the back side of here is kind of faint, so you can practice the branches, refer back to the back, see if you're doing everything right. In case you mess up, you'll always have a reference right here. And you can practice, same thing with this one. Practice on the back in case you mess up. Just turn it around, you have your reference. And you're gonna practice your muscle memory with these guided lines. You can watch your spaces. You can just really understand how to branch on these things. And then once you're done, you're gonna take this sheet, and this is the last part, has different shapes on it, the same shapes from the worksheets. And you're gonna test your skills with your machine from your memory. This is the last step. The biggest mistake I see is people buying sheets that look like this and start practicing nano brows. I'm practicing nano brows and they start with like step 8. How are you gonna practice nano brows if your muscle memory isn't there? If you can't tattoo, if you don't have it memorized, how are you gonna practice nano brows? So this is the last part. So when you follow the guide, it's literally $29. When you follow the guide, it will teach you on how to perform the pattern and to tattoo it and everything. So the fourth problem that I noticed a lot of people coming into the industry pursuing nano brow machine hair strokes is the approach. So what we tried to do is create the baby steps. So we created the henna brow course, right? It's business, it's henna, it's shaping, it's client relationship, it's business oriented. Another baby step we created is the guided stuff, the latex. So there's baby steps that you could take. A lot of people just want to jump in and take the workshop. They're like, I'll give you $3,000 right now. I'm not going to do any of the baby steps. I just want to give you my money and I want you to give me your hands. So those were the 4 problems that I've seen 90% of our students have. And these are the 4 solutions that I'm offering you. So whether you're in our course right now or you're watching this video on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, this is information that's going to help you and guide you in what to do. That being said, what action should you take? What are the action steps that you could take now that you know the solutions and that you know the problems? Number 1, put in the hours. Number 2 is get the pads, get the tools you need, get the little online courses. There's a million online courses. We're not the only company offering online courses. You know, take some online courses. Don't just jump in, right? You still feel like you can't do it. You still feel like you need that assistance. Then take the workshop, right? Our workshop dates just dropped. They are starting February, I believe. So February, March, April, May, June. You can pick a 3-day workshop, Nano Brow 3-day course, only 3 students with me. That's now available on the site. I think it's on sale right now because it's November, you know, Black Friday, all that. It's typically $2,900. That's the typical price. If you are getting it in November, you're gonna get a sale price, but if you're not getting it in November, then it is typically $2,900. We don't really discount the course because it is super intensive. It's 3 days. It's very personal. It's only 3 students. And we give you, you know, 3 days of our time, which is a long time, and we give you all the focus, you know, that you deserve. But we just expect that prior to coming, you finished the online course, you put in your hours, you did every single baby step before coming to the workshop. So that after the workshop, you can leave saying, I did it, I practiced on a person, I know what I'm doing, I feel stable in my shoes, and I feel very solid about moving forward. Those are some of the action plans that you could take in becoming an amazing nano brow artist. So I hope this video helped. I broke it down to 4 problems, 4 solutions, and a simple action plan that you can take to pursue your goal and start, you know, having the career of your dreams. So I hope this video helped you. I look forward to seeing you. If you're in our course, I hope you enjoy the rest of the course. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in another video.